Hey there, I'm Paul Heires, and this is Just the Numbers, a podcast mini-series about sports and the numbers that drive them. In this episode, I will be ranking the top 8 conferences in the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament in the last 6 tournaments in history. If you didn't know, that's going back to the 2014-2015 tournament 7 seasons ago, because there was a canceled tournament in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this ranking will be based off of kind of the number of appearances, but also the winning percentage in the Big Dance. So I'm going to have a ranking called the Conference Big Dance Success Rating, which will be the number of first-round losses divided by 2, plus 1 for every second-round loss. Then I'll throw in another 1.5 for every loss in the Sweet 16, plus 2 for every loss in the Elite 8 round, plus 2.5 for every loss in the Final Four, plus 3 for every loss in the National Championship, and then plus 4 for every National Championship title victory. As I was running the numbers for this, I realized this rating is moderately weighted by the number of appearances, and so it's going to end up being about 50% based off of how many appearances the teams have made to the tournament based off of the number of teams in the conference themselves, and then about 50% based off of how those teams did in those appearances in the tournament. It's going to be more about getting to the tournament than it will be about how they did in the tournament, but it should be about even for most of these conferences. Now, unlike the NFL ranking episode I did a couple of weeks ago for episode 2, I ranked every NFL franchise by their playoff percentage and the number of appearances they made in the playoffs. Unlike that, this is a college-based ranking system, and a lot of the conferences in college are a lot less stationary than some of the teams in the NFL. And so conference alignment was kind of tricky when I wanted to do this. Most conferences have had additions or subtractions in the last 10 years, and then there will be another full slate of conference realignment coming up in the next 2 or 3 years, including more or less dissection of the Big 12 and revamping of that with the loss of Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. So a few notes on conference realignment. The reason I only did the last 6 tournaments, aka 7 years, because of the cancellation of the 2020 tournament. There was one of the last big conference realignments in 2014 in terms of college basketball, in which East Carolina, Tulsa, and Tulane all went from Conference USA to the American. Louisville went from the American to the ACC, Maryland went from the ACC to the Big Ten, and Rutgers went from the American to the Big Ten, all in 2014. So I wanted to make this ranking based off of the conferences after that alignment. There have been a couple more. Just real quick, Wichita State did make a move from the Missouri Valley to the American in 2017. And then obviously UConn went from the American to the Big East in 2020. So other than those two, most of these conferences have been exactly the same since 2014. And I wanted to get those just in that span. Those 6 tournaments, which conference has been the most successful, not only making the tournament, but what they've done in the tournament. I also scaled every conference's rating up to what it would be if the conference had 15 teams, just to make it equal. Obviously, we've got the ACC with 15 and the Big 12 with 10 teams. I wanted to try and weigh it a little bit more balanced because the Big 12 just has less teams in general. They would obviously have less appearances and less chances to do anything in the Big Dance. With that being said, let's get into it. At number 8, I have the American Conference, and they haven't been super successful. They have gone 12-17 in their 17 Big Dance appearances. That effort was led by the Houston Cougars especially in last year's tournament. The American Conference went 4-2, which is the only tournament of these 6 tournaments where the American had a winning record. Houston has gone 7-3 in that span, including a Sweet 16 run in 2019, a 2 seed, and a Final Four appearance in last year's tournament. Other than Houston, though, the American has seen scarce success among the other teams. Cincinnati was a 2 seed in the 2018 season, but went out early. They have gone 3-5 in their 5 appearances in the tournament. Wichita State, as I mentioned earlier, came over from the Missouri Valley Conference in 2017. They've only been a part of the conference for 4 seasons now. They've made the big dance twice, and they have gone 0-2, including a first 4 exit. The Temple Owls have gone 0-2. UCF has gone 1-1 in their 1 appearance. SMU 0-2 as they struggled to get things done as a 6 seed. Tulsa has gone 0-1, and then UConn, before they left in 2020, went 1-1 in those 6 tournaments. So once again, the American did have a solid 17 appearances, but once again, only 12 wins in those 6 tournaments. At number 7, I have the West Coast Conference, and this may be a bit of a surprise, but as many of you know, Gonzaga has been fairly dominant in that conference. They've had 2 1 seeds, 1 2 seeds, 6 Sweet 16 appearances, 4 Elite 8 appearances, and 2 Final Four appearances in those 6 tournaments. And guess what? All of those were Gonzaga. The West Coast Conference overall record is 21-10, and Gonzaga's record in those 6 tournaments is 20-6. They were a 2 seed and went to the Elite 8 in the 2015 tournament. They were in Sweet 16 appearances in 2016 and 2018 tournaments, and they were a 1 seed and went to the Elite 8 in 2019, and then were a 1 seed and lost in the national championship in both 2017 and 2021 last year. In fact, the only other 2 teams in the West Coast Conference that have made it to the tournament since 2014 are St. Mary's, who have gone 1-2 in their 2 appearances, and BYU, who have gone 0-2 in their 2 appearances. More or less, Gonzaga is the reason why the West Coast Conference is even on this list at number 7. At number 6, I have the Pac-12. They've gone 38-26, which is about 59.4%. They've had 1 1 seed, 2 2 seeds, 11 Sweet 16 appearances, 6 Elite 8 appearances, and 2 Final Four appearances in those 6 tournaments. They've had some pretty good years, but also some pretty rough years. They went 8-4 in the 2015 tournament, 10-4 in the 2017 tournament, and 13-5 in last year's tournament. But they only had 3 teams in 2018, and all of them lost in the first round. UCLA made a pretty good run last year to the Final Four. They've gone 9-4 in their 4 out of 6 tournament appearances, made a Sweet 16 in 2015. Oregon has done the most for the Pac-12 with 11-5 record. They made Sweet 16s in 2019 and in last year's tournament. They were a 1 seed and went to the Elite 8 in 2016 and made a Final Four appearance in 2017. Not a whole lot of other notables to this point. Arizona had a pretty good run in 2016 with an Elite 8 appearance, and then they went to the Sweet 16 in 2017. Utah made the Sweet 16 in 2015, but once again, other than that, not a whole lot to talk about. Oregon State 3-2 with their run last year. Colorado 1-2 in those 6 years. USC made the Elite 8 last year. They have gone 5-3 in the last 6 tournaments. Washington made it 1 year, went 1-1 in that appearance, and Cal went 1-done in their 1 appearance there. At number 5, I have the Big East, and this might be a little bit of a surprise that they're this low on the ranking system, and I will say it was close between the Big East and our number 4 conference, but before we get to them, the Big East went 34-30, and if we were talking about the Big East from 2010, this would be a whole nother story because 2010, 2011, 2012, the Big East had one of the best winning percentages in the Big Dance. It's been a different story since then. They've had 4 1 seeds, 2 2 seeds, 7 Sweet 16 appearances, 3 Elite 8 appearances, 2 Final Four appearances, and 2 national championships. And those last 2 are solely based off of Villanova, who has gone 17-4. They have won 2 of the last 6 national championships. But other than Villanova, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Xavier was one of those 1 seeds in 2018. They were one of the 2 seeds in 2016 and made a Sweet 16 appearance in 2015, made the Elite 8 in 2017. Butler had a pretty good legacy in the tournament before they came to the Big East, but since they've been in the Big East, they've only made 1 Sweet 16 in 2017. They've gone 5-4 in their 4 appearances in the tournament. Creighton, the Blue Jays, have gone 2-3. They got both of those wins in last year's tournament, in which they made the Sweet 16 before losing to Gonzaga. Seton Hall has gone 1-4, Providence 1-4, Georgetown 1-2, Marquette 0-2, St. John's 0-2, and UConn 0-1 in those 6 tournaments. So once again, a lot of appearances for all the teams, but not a whole lot of success after the first round or 2. Every team in the Big East has made it to the tournament in the last 6 seasons, except for DePaul. Other than that, though, it's really just been Villanova carrying the Big East to this point. Once again, 2 national championships for Villanova, but other than that, the Big East has struggled to do much after the first round. At number 4 is the SEC, and this was close between the SEC and the Big East, but at the end of the day, the SEC just had a slight edge on number of appearances, and this was after we scaled it up. Once again, the Big East had 10 teams for 5 of the 6 seasons and then added UConn for last year's tournament, and then the SEC obviously with 14 teams, so they were scaled up just a little bit less, but still had enough to get that number 4 spot. They've had 1 seed in Kentucky, 4 2 seeds, 13 Sweet 16 appearances, 7 Elite 8 appearances, and 3 Final Four appearances in the last 6 tournaments. They have been pretty mediocre throughout. They went 6-5 in the 2015 tournament, 3-3 in the 2016 tournament, but then started ramping it up, going 11-5 in the 2017 tournament. They had 8 teams make it in 2018, went 8-8 in that one, 12-7 in the 2019 tournament, and then 7-6 in last year's tournament. So really turning the corner is the SEC, and we've seen a lot more success. The Big Dance coming up here in a couple weeks, we're going to see potentially another 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 SEC teams make it in the tournament. So the SEC has been improving steadily in the last few years. This is obviously due to Kentucky being in the tournament for 5 of the 6 years. They did have a down year last season, but 13-5 in their 5 appearances. They were a 1 seed, made the Final Four in 2015. They made the Sweet 16 in 2018. They were a 2 seed and made the Elite 8 in both the 2017 and 2019 tournaments. Florida has also helped that, as they've gone 6-4 in their 4 appearances in the tournament, and they made the Elite 8 in 2017. Arkansas was a 3 seed last year. They have done fairly well. for the SEC as they've gone 5-4 and made the Elite Eight last year. Auburn made the Final Four in 2019, 5-2 in their 2 appearances in the last 6 tournaments. Texas A&M has gone 4-2 and had Sweet 16 appearances in 2016 and 2018. Tennessee was a 2 seed in the 2019 season and went to the Sweet 16 that year as well. LSU made the Sweet 16 in 2019. And let's not forget about South Carolina making the Final Four in 2017. They went 4-1. That was their only tournament appearance in the last 6 seasons. Alabama was a 2 seed in last year's tournament, made the Sweet 16 as well. Every other team hasn't done a whole lot. Missouri 0-2. Mississippi went 1-2 with a win in the play-in round. Mississippi State 0-1, Vanderbilt 0-2, and Georgia 0-1. All 14 teams from the SEC have made the tournament at least once since 2014. At number 3, I have the Big Ten. 58-42 in those 42 appearances in the tournament. They have not won a national title in over 20 years. They've had 3 1 seeds, 6 2 seeds, 14 Sweet 16 appearances, 6 Elite 8 appearances, and 4 Final Four appearances. Other than the 2018 season, they've had at least 7 teams make the tournament in every year. 8-7 in 2016 and 2017, 9-4 with only 4 teams making it in 2018, 13-8 in 2019, and 8-9 last year. Not a great year for the Big Ten in last year's tournament. And they probably would have had at least 10 or 11 make the tournament if they were to play in the 2020 season. This is led mostly by Michigan's success, believe it or not. They've gone 13-5 in their 5 appearances in the last 6 tournaments. They made the Sweet 16 in 2017. They were 1 game away from a national title in 2018. They were a 2 seed and made the Sweet 16 in 2019, and obviously a 1 seed in last year's tournament, making the Elite Eight there. Michigan State right up there with the cross-state rival. They made the Final Four in 2015, were a 2 seed in 2016, made the Final Four in 2019 as a 2 seed as well. Wisconsin was a 1 seed and made the national championship in 2015. They had Sweet 16 appearances in 2016 and 2017 in back-to-back seasons, and both of those were upsets in the second round for Wisconsin. Some other notables: Maryland has made the tournament 5 times in the last 6 tournaments, but has just gone 5-5, making 1 Sweet 16 appearance in 2016. Iowa has made 4 and has gone, I believe, 1-1 in all 4 appearances. So they win the first round and then lose the second round. Even when they were a 2 seed in last year's tournament, they still lost in the second round to the Oregon Ducks. Purdue is probably the last big team to make an impact on this rating, as they have made all 6 tournaments in the last 7 seasons and have gone 7-6. They made a Sweet 16 appearance in 2018 as a 2 seed, and then made the Elite Eight as a 3 seed in 2019. Some other notables: Illinois, as a 1 seed in last year's tournament, went 1-1. Rutgers made the tournament for the first time in a number of years. They went 1-1, beating Clemson in the first round and then losing to Houston in the second round. Minnesota has gone 1-2 in those 6 tournaments. Indiana has gone 2-2, making a Sweet 16 in the 2016 tournament, and Northwestern went 1-1 in their 1 appearance in 2017. At number 2, I have the Big 12, who have gone 54-39, and once again, this is where this rating gets kind of based off of the number of teams in the conference, right? Obviously, that record I just named isn't necessarily the best record out there. However, For a conference with just 10 teams, they have had an average of 6.5 teams make the tournament every season the last 6 tournaments. And they've had 4 1 seeds, 2 2 seeds, 14 Sweet 16 appearances, 8 Elite 8 appearances, 4 Final Four appearances, and then obviously 1 national championship with the Baylor Bears in last year's tournament. This is obviously led by Kansas going 13-6 in all 6 tournaments they made an appearance. They were a 2 seed in the 2015 season. They were a 1 seed, made the Elite 8 in back-to-back seasons, 2016 and 2017. And then they were a 1 seed that made the Final Four in 2018. We can't miss Baylor either with their national championship last year as a 1 seed. They also made a Sweet 16 in 2017, but a few years prior to that, they did go one and done as a 5 seed and a 3 seed, so they did get upset a couple of times in the first couple of tournaments. Oklahoma has gone 8-5 in their 5 appearances. They went into the Sweet 16 in 2015 and the Final Four in 2016 as a 2 seed, I believe. Texas Tech made the national championship in 2019 before they lost to the Virginia Cavaliers, and they went to the Elite 8 in 2018 and has a 9-4 record in the last 6 tournaments. West Virginia has gone 7-5 with Sweet 16s in 2015, 2017, and 2018. Iowa State has won the conference but has struggled in the Big Dance, going only 3-4 with just 1 Sweet 16 appearance in 2016. Other than that, they've been upset a couple of times by the likes of University of Alabama, Birmingham, and the Ohio State Buckeyes. So Iowa State has had some tough luck, but they've done well in conference play. Kansas State has gone 4-3, and they made the Elite 8 in 2018 in kind of a fluke situation where UMBC upset number 1 overall seed Virginia, opening the door for 9 seed Kansas State to win that, and then they would go on to beat 5 seed Kentucky in the next round to get to the Elite 8 before eventually getting knocked off by surprise 11 seed Loyola of Chicago, who ended up going on to the Final Four. Oklahoma State's made it 3 times. They've gone 1-3 there, and Texas has made it 4 of the 6 tournaments and has gone 1 and done in all 4. 0-4 in the tournament for Texas. TCU made 1 appearance, and they went 0-1 there. At number 1, the ACC, and I'm sure many of you listening could have guessed that from the start it was going to be the ACC at number 1, 78-42 in the last 6 tournaments. This is not even counting like some of the dynasties that Duke and North Carolina had before this window. That's a 65% win percentage in the tournament. So not only are they getting the most teams per season, but they are also winning the most games. They've had 8 1 seeds in the last 6 tournaments. And just to put that in context, there have only been 24 1 seeds in the last 6 tournaments, and they have had 8 of them. So 1 out of every 3 1 seeds is from the ACC, 5 2 seeds, 22 Sweet 16 appearances, 11 Elite 8 appearances, 5 Final Four appearances, and 3 national championships out of the 6 tournaments. Once again, kind of unmatched in terms of everything. They went 17-5 in the 2015 tournament, 19-7 in the 2016 tournament, 11-8 in 2017, 12-9 in 2018, 15-6 in 2019, and then last year was probably their worst year in quite some time. They only had 7 teams make it and only 4 wins total in the 2021 tournament. This is obviously led by North Carolina, Duke, and Virginia. Those 3 have each won 1 national championship in the last 6 tournaments, giving the ACC 3 total. North Carolina's came in 2017 as a 1 seed after they went to the national championship and lost to Villanova the year before as a 1 seed in that one as well. They made the Sweet 16 in 2015 and in 2019. And then they were a 2 seed in 2018 and lost in the first round last year. Duke's national championship came in 2015 as a 1 seed there. They made the Sweet 16 in 2016, were a 2 seed in 2017, were a 1 seed, made the Elite Eight in 2018, and were a 2 seed, made the Elite Eight in 2019. And then they, believe it or not, did not even make the tournament last season. So definitely a down year for the ACC last year. Virginia's national championship came in 2019 as a 1 seed, and this was kind of an answer to their appearance in the season before in 2018, which I've already mentioned, where they were the number 1 overall seed, projected so highly by so many rating systems, and they lost in the first round, the first ever number 1 overall seed, first number 1 seed in general, to lose to a 16 seed in the first round, upset by 20 points by University of Maryland, Baltimore County, making their second appearance in the tournament ever. So Virginia definitely was mad, came back the next year and ran the table 6-0, won the national championship in 2018 against Texas Tech in overtime. They also made a 2-seed appearance in 2015. Florida State has made a couple Sweet 16s in 2019, and in last year's tournament, they also made the Elite Eight in 2018. Syracuse has had some good runs for one of the lower seeds. They made the Final Four in 2016 and went to Sweet 16s in 2018 and in last year's 2021 tournament. Notre Dame went to the Elite Eight in 2015 and 2016. They've gone 7-3 in the last 6 tournaments. Louisville was a 2 seed in 2017. They have gone 4-3 in their 3 tournament appearances. And some other notables: Virginia Tech 2-4 with a Sweet 16 appearance in 2019. Miami 2-3 with a Sweet 16 appearance in 2016. Clemson 2-2 with a Sweet 16 appearance in 2018. NC State went 2-2 in the last 6 tournaments. They had a Sweet 16 appearance in 2015. Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, and Wake Forest have also made tournament appearances, but have all lost in the first game in their attempts. Boston College is the only team in the ACC that has not made the tournament in the last 6 tournaments. Well, there you have it. This one's up to interpretation. There were a lot of numbers in this episode. Once again, I had American at number 8, West Coast Conference at 7, Pac-12 at 6, Big East at 5, SEC at 4, Big 10 at 3, Big 12 at 2, and the Atlantic Coast Conference holding it down at number 1 despite kind of an off year in last year's tournament. Once again, this was based pretty much 50% off of pretty much the percentage of teams in the conference that made the tournament, and then also had to do a lot with the success in the tournaments. That said, next week I'll try and have I know I tried to get a guest on this week. Things didn't really work out. I will attempt to get a guest on for next episode, and we will get some talk about NBA, probably differences between college basketball and NBA, get another discussion going with our second guest of Just the Numbers. That's it for me on episode 4. I'm Paul Heires. This is Just the Numbers, and we will see you next time.